All right. We're back. The summer is over. We're going into the fall, and the closing table has returned. Even though, of course, naturally, Next Home Brandywine has gone nowhere but into your next home. We're back here with the usual cast of characters. Myself, Bay Ragney, your co-host, along with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Hub Rigel. And of course, we would not be here unless we were with the president, CEO, and the man, the brains, and the Mr. Know-All of real estate, Mr. Dan Pizzi. Let's get at it. We got a lot to catch up on. Welcome back, everybody, and here we go.
Thanks for joining us.
Very, very learned.
Yes. Thanks for joining us, Hub, again.
And we froze. Or Dan froze. There we go.
That's okay. Sometimes we need ice cream.
We got two Dans.
Actually, I've never met anybody who didn't like ice cream. Have you, Dan?
Right here. All right, we're going to leave the other Dan in the corner. Unless, Bay, you can figure out how to get rid of that. But see what I mean? We take off for the summer and everything falls apart. I was saying Hub's joining us from Dallas, Texas. Bay is joining us from Tennessee. We have a disclaimer at the bottom that isn't us, but it's the same disclaimer as us.
Yeah.
All opinions expressed. You know what? It's okay, though. All opinions expressed are ours, mine, Hub, and Bay's. If you don't like them, it's our program. There are opinions only. I know we are in a volatile time here. There are opinions, and I'm going to get into this merger, and I'm going to have plenty of my own opinions, and it's my podcast, and that's why we bring them to you. So you can get real information, which we're bringing you, to make an educated decision with your real estate needs. A lot going on. Bay said to touch on our move. It is official. We have moved over to Parksburg to better serve you. We're doing a little bit of a joint venture here. A management company that we're associated with is next door, JTL Property Management. More on that in a couple coming months. But Next Home Brandywine is now at 409 West 1st Avenue in Parksburg. We did it honestly for a lot of factors. And in the end, hopefully it's going to allow us to bring better service to you. And it's allowing us to keep open and continue for another 5 years as Next Home Brandywine. There's so much contraction in this business right now. A lot of people are going out. We are trying to bring you the mom and pop, old school, dedicated service that you knew that real estate was back in the day. We're trying to continue that tradition. You guys know I love Dave Stinson. He's 83, going to be 84, still in this business. With stuff going on like the Compass merger and all, we're trying to give you old school professional real estate where you are the central focused, and that's what matters in your real estate transaction. Hub, welcome in. It's been 3 months. Tell us what's new there in Dallas, Texas. Me and Hub go back and forth. Hub brings me a lot of articles and different things about what's going on across the country in the real estate business, and just sends me some interesting articles. What do we got, Hub?
Well, they're saying that Compass has bought Anywhere, but it seems to be somewhat of a merger unless the devil is in the details in the way that they're calculating what they're saying is happening.
I just pulled a lot more detail on this, Hub, and it looks to be Anywhere does not have the financial wherewithal to buy out Compass. Compass is owned by Robert Refkin. Let me get it right. They're also owned by 36.7% by the Japanese SoftBank. So what this is, we'll get into it since Hub brought it up off the bat here. You don't know until we get into this thing, but on the surface, for old school real estate agents and for smaller companies, this looks like a major conglomerate taking over. Who's involved with Anywhere? If you don't know who Anywhere is, it's the Century 21 Coldwell Banker brand. So what we're looking at here is Better Homes and Gardens, Century 21 Coldwell Banker Commercial, ERA, and Sotheby's International, which is their luxury division. Huge operation. I used to be with Century 21. My family owned a Century 21 for 40 years. They merged with a bunch of companies in one larger brand. Now Compass who has a lot of farm money and a lot of BlackRock-like investments in their company, has went ahead and bought out Anywhere. So what's that mean? We don't know if this merger is going to go through. They call it a merger, like Hub said. I think it's more of an acquisition. It's semantics, because if they do join up, the numbers were eye-popping. It was, did I write that down? The merger will unite about 340,000 real estate professionals across 120 countries. Under the new deal, Anywhere share will be exchanged for 1.436 Compass Class A shares. The transaction is expected to close in the second half of 26. Compass shareholders will hold 78% of the combined company. So there you go. So Hub, Compass is going to own 78%, and the Century 21 Anywhere side is going to be 22%. Couple quick things, and Hub, you might have saw this, Bay. There's been a whole ongoing thing since that Sitzler lawsuit. Compass was trying to, I'm going to simplify this, was trying to do in-house marketing of listings before it hit the public. So it would hit their website for a disclosed amount of time before it would be published on the multiple listing service. Compass and the National Association of Realtors have been going back and forth, butting heads over this, because Compass is trying to control the market share. So they're saying, if we have all these people and we're controlling the market share, then we can kind of do what we used to call pocket listings and control the deals before they even hit the open public. And that's been the argument all along, that we need fair trade, honest communication. The consumers have to be well informed in these real estate transactions. This doesn't look like that to me. One thing we're going to tell you, NextHome isn't going anywhere. We talked to management. We're the Century 21 to the 70s with the Yellow Jackets right now. We're bringing you as much technology as we possibly can with our platform. We have brand new back office system that's going to help us with retention, recruiting, lead management, called Bold Trail. That's new. They're 100% on board now with Bold Trail. And really, we're going to give you the information you need to make an educated decision in your transaction. And it's going to be old school real estate, where literally I'm going to sit with you with a pad and paper and get all the information of what you're looking for, and go be your advocate in the market and find the house that you want to buy. Or if you're trying to sell, make sure you're matched up with buyers that are looking for like-minded properties. There is a ton going on. I wanted to touch on that merger. Somebody put a comment in our broker owner group today, and they said, I get it. We have to be aware, but we don't care, because our head's down on trying to help our clients in our little bubble that we're working in.
The thing is that Anywhere was in doubt, is in debt, and their Compass is going to have to consolidate all that debt too.
I just read an article on that debt. It's going to be well above. It's going to be. There was a percentage on there well above what a normal company would take on in an acquisition as far as debt goes. But you know what they're looking for here in this merger, however we want to look at it? Size. Size matters now. They're looking for market share, because our market share as a industry is down, and they're looking to be the major player and take upwards of 40% of the market share. And don't forget, you have companies like Keller Williams. You have companies like Remax. You have smaller companies like NextHome. There's some other companies, LTV. There's one guy that's a big player here, used to be with Berkshire. Don't forget too, you see that Warren Buffett, they're starting to pull back under Berkshire's umbrella, because the percentage of margins in this business is shrinking. So profit margin is shrinking. So how do you make up for shrinking margin? You go after a bigger piece of the pie. That seems to be what's happening with some of this.
Yeah, but I also think they want the brand names too.
They do.
Because all those names are going to, the average person is not going to know that they're under the umbrella of Compass.
You're dead right.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the thing is it was estimated that Compass wanted to buy, they wanted to buy Berkshire Hathaway too, but they couldn't do it.
And I think that Buffett kind of blocked that because of the respect for the industry. I think there was a lot of factors there, which he just said, wasn't going down that path. I think what we're losing sight of, we're worried about money, money, money. And it is a business to where we make money, but it's very consumer centric. Our clients, if we do a good job by our clients, we're going to get referrals and make money. I haven't heard one person about any of this stuff talk about the consumer. Like they're talking on a government level that sits a lawsuit or is all about the consumer, and the consumer needs to know and the consumer needs to be well represented. This type deal here doesn't give two shits about the consumer. They're just worried about their market share. And like you said, Hub, if they hide it, even though they own them all, they'll be under 6 or 7 names. You won't realize that Compass owns all those companies.
Yeah, but they'll want to hire good quality people. It's all going to be about the people that are working in the office.
And let me tell you something. Compass bought a lot of people. When Compass came in, they went to the highest producers and basically bought them and paid them to come to Compass. They had to stay there for X amount of years, but it was a heist. They said, we'll give you $50,000. We'll give you $100,000. I know people they paid over $100,000 to switch to Compass. So, you know, I'm an old school guy. I'm an old Century 21 Yellow Jacket guy. I'm an old school service first, do good business, get your referrals. We don't want to be a big office here. We want to be a small, we're getting to that point to where we're a boutique office, and we just want to represent our people in our sphere and the people that come to us for good, knowledgeable, old school real estate. But there's so much going on in our business right now, and our margins are down and the overall transactions are down.
And remember, if you go to a bank or a credit union or any kind of a service business where they have a real fancy office building, you're paying for that office building too.
Hey, Hub, that's one of the reasons we shrunk this thing down. So how were we able to, listen, if we got a chameleon on price a little bit here or there to get things done, we have the ability to do that here. Not that we're going to do it, but we do have the ability to do it. By us downsizing, to your point, that's why we did a physical location downside, because the industry is shifting to more virtual. Zoom, virtual interaction. You don't have to like it. I'll still drive the people an hour because that's why I like to do business, but it's shifting. So we basically shifted the office to the neighborhood that 65% of our agents live in. So we would have access to the office when needed, but it's not something where you're going to go sit in. And the guy that I rent from here came in and said, hey, this place looks beautiful. You got a great spot. We have it decorated nice. We have a sitting area. We have an office. We have a conference room, bathroom. We are set up to serve you. And we're also set up financially, because when I go to big offices, I've been to some in Ardmore and certain other areas, those offices have glass, big fancy chandeliers. You're paying for that. And right now, if we want to survive as the smaller service-oriented boutique offices, we got to watch our financials to stay in this game while we muddle through this downturn and get on the other side of this thing. And I'm going to ask people, we renewed, and you look at my reviews, and one girl just put on, I dealt with her family for 14 years. I think we've done 7 deals over the 14 years. We renewed to continue to bring you professional, knowledgeable, learned real estate. And you need to support us, honestly. I'll tell you flat out. We renewed and put our necks out there, and I didn't fold and cave and merge. You know how many people I could have went with? All day long, my phone rings. Top 25% in the region. I could have went to Compass. I could have went to Berkshire. I could have went anywhere. We stayed, and we're going to continue to provide the great service we provide, but we need the word of mouth. We need it on the street to say, hey, use Dan, use his team at NextHome Brandywine, because right now everybody's in that boat to where across the board, because of the economic factors, our numbers are down. Hey, Bay, what do we got? We're doing here too.
I was just thinking, like, as you were talking about that, like I was flashing back to, growing up in Upper Darby, and I remember up on Long Lane, there was probably 2 or 3 on the same block, real estate offices. And I just remember seeing the realtors, like you said, one was a Century 21 office, one was a car real estate, but the Century 21 people had the yellow jackets. And I'm just like, it's just weird how the times have changed where, the people would drive over to the office, go into the office, sit down at a realtor's desk, discuss, and then get in the realtor's car and go look at houses. It's like that. It seems like it's totally non-existent anymore.
We don't even get in your car anymore because of the liability. You got to drive yourself. And you talk about car real estate. Car real estate was specific to that downtown, 69th Street area down there, that Upper Darby location. I was trying to think of the guy's name that had the one in Glen Olden. He was a big player. The lady that used to run McDade Mall went with him. I forget. He was a big player over there. All those small real estate offices have closed. People have bailed and merged. And Hub made a point. You pay, for example, we charge a conveyancing fee to order your resale certificates, coordinate with the title companies. Everybody charges them.
Sure.
Berkshire, if I'm not mistaken, is $8.99. You're paying $900. We charge $4.99. It's $400 difference in the transaction that will remain in your pocket. These fees and costs are so, and like Hub said, they got to pay for these big offices. When you go into the car dealership, you pay a VIG for them to do the paperwork for you. They had to cap it by the state because they were charging so much money. It was just a VIG fee to capture, an added fee.
And if the office is in a suburb, they're probably paying less rent there too.
100%. And then where do you position yourself? For me, I do a lot of Delco. So Hub, you don't know the area, but it's literally a whole county over. But we do Lancaster too, which is the next county over from where we're at in Chester County. So to position us in Parksburg for the vicinity to my house and the areas I cover, and when I just did a deal in Perkiomenville, up all the way up Montgomery County, is probably almost 55, 58 miles from me. I've sold several houses up there over the years. I know the market. So if someone says, well, your office isn't there. Some companies like Redfin, they have one office for the whole state. We don't do business like that anymore. There's no neighborhood offices anymore. Very few of them left.
Yeah, but I do think that they like you to, you like to encourage your clients to go out and look at the areas, and you probably have some questions that you want them to ask themselves when they're looking at the homes.
Right.
And then they check them out by themselves, and then you may go out there and go with them. You may follow them in the car, etc.
I'll tell you what else I do, Hub, on the reverse of that. If you're working during the day, which most people are, and you would like somebody to preview a home for you, I will go out there. Even if it's a 45-minute drive, if we think that home might be a match, I will go out there and preview that home, take video, call you up, and let you know, hey, I think this is a match. You should come look at this house.
Yeah,
we're helping people. We got divorce situations right now. We have people downsizing right now. So even though we're not busy across the whole broad spectrum, there is still activity going on that we can help you with. Investor market is big right now because people are short on cash. They are letting properties go for less than market value. I want to touch on that too. Prices. This is where I'm going to tell you straight. Prices are dipping. If you see something sitting, that means the consumer is telling you it's overpriced. We have a lot of competition. We have reduction in prices across the board. We have new construction going on. So if your house isn't selling, you need to get real with the price points and sit down and look at the economic factors. Go ahead, Hub.
Well, I think, though, a lot of sellers need to realize, too, that they need to do their homework, too, when they're selling their house. And they need to spend some time making sure that it's ready to sell themselves.
They are. And you're losing money, Hub. I was in one this.
Because the guy that is close to me, our neighbor, he spent a lot of money sprucing up his house and working in the yard, trimming trees, all kinds of stuff to get it ready to sell. And he spent a lot of money out of pocket, but he got a good price for his house. He was able to buy.
I always say this, what's the return on investment? If I put X into it, how much am I getting out of it?
Yeah, but it's you really, if you want to sell in this market, you want to get it as ready as you can on your own.
We just were looking at one. I was just looking at one, and my mom said, "You know what that house needs? It needs flower beds. It needs curb appeal." And she was right. It just didn't have any curb appeal, and it's hard to convince people sometime to put money in it. What I'm going to say after right now is we need to do a better job as realtors to really have a tough, firm conversation with our sellers right now, because like Cub said, what do you need to do? How are you going to maximize your return? What's the current market? If you overprice it, well, I just had one recently to where we hit the edge of the boom market from the spring. We hit that bubble burst mid to the end of June, and I got properties that are sitting because the prices aren't being adjusted downward to meet the current demand and the prices that people want to pay right now. The market has shifted, and I think in the Philadelphia region, we haven't caught up with it yet.
Well, I think it's shifted, and it's going to come down some to a degree. But if you have a house that is really spruced up, and like the flower beds and all that kind of stuff, just for example, is done, and it's in a good neighborhood, etc., I think it will sell at a pretty high price. I mean, it's going to be higher than pre-COVID still.
Yeah, and the key point is desirable neighborhoods where people want to be, and that's the key point. Another thing is the interest rates. The interest rates came down to low sixes, roughly 6.25. Just probably before June, in May they were 7.1. So that is a help. We'll see where they go and where they end up leveling out at for this fall market, but it is a help that the interest rates have shrunk.
Okay, well, my neighbor's a realtor too, and I sent you the video on the problem they're having with the personnel who are in the Federal Reserve right now. And both you and her said the exact same thing. We got to make sure that we're able to cut these rates a little bit.
And a lot of that is based on the
you
bond
said the same
market.
thing.
Yeah, and honestly, when the Fed cuts a rate, it doesn't mean that mortgage interest rates are going down. The bond market has a lot to do with interest rates and where the banks are setting interest rates on mortgages.
Well, the Federal Reserve doesn't. The mortgage rate, they don't control the.
Correct.
It's not controlled by the Fed. They can
Correct.
cut the rate, but the mortgage rate can be.
Correct.
It's not done by the Fed. It's done by
Correct. The bond market kind of affects the mortgage rates in the banking industry.
Well, people get those two confused, but still, the Fed cut rate is a huge deal, and that's encouraging to real estate agents right now.
No, it is, and it because we need something to spur the market. We need, and I think I still go back to this, and with the people I deal with, affordable housing. We don't have affordable housing. I mean, a new development, new single family home going up at $500,000 is not affordable for most people. You see it down there, Bay. Our owners meeting is coming to you, Bay, in Nashville next year, and our conference is coming to you in Dallas. I'm going to talk to you. I will probably be in Dallas for that event for our conference. And they just announced our owners meetings coming to Nashville.
Nice. So, when is that? Is that going to be in Fort Worth area or Dallas area?
No, I'm going to be in Dallas. I'll send you that info. I'm going to be in Dallas. I think it's the end of February.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm going to be there, and I definitely will. The plan is to come there and see Hub, and I'll talk to you about that. And then our owners meeting next year, which is usually like this time next year, was announced for Nashville. Two hot markets. And Hub and I, we talk about that market right there. What is it, Hub? Frisco? What is it?
Frisco. It's Frisco and McKinney, but they're building in Prosper. They're built. I don't know if I sent you the one where they're building in Prosper. All that was flat farmland. It's halfway. It's when you're in Dallas. When you get to the Frisco McKinney area, you're halfway to the Oklahoma border.
How far from there to Dallas? About a half hour?
No, it's more. It's about 45 minutes with no traffic. 40 to 45 minutes with no traffic.
So that's like me living in Western Chester County. Trying to get back to the city.
Yeah, but it's like the only thing I can say they compare it to would be like an Orange County. They're building a Universal Studios out there.
That's crazy what's going on.
It's definitely, there's going to be more office space in Frisco by 2030 than there will be in Dallas. So that means people can live in Fort Worth and work in Frisco, or they can live in Dallas and work in Frisco.
Well, that's something that hurts some of these markets too. When we're talking about markets across the country, I got a call from my friend Lauren down in Florida. a lot of these companies are asking people to go back into the office. So these people that were moving to areas that were more likable for their living style, they're getting in a pinch now because a lot of these companies are saying, no, you got to come back in the office a couple of days a week. The Florida market, between the upgrades that these buildings need to be hurricane strength, the insurance industry, and the fact that people can't work from home anymore, Florida market right now is getting crushed. He's in Sarasota area. It's just getting crushed.
But when you work in the office, the productivity that you're going to do for the company and for the owner of the company is going to be probably much, much better.
Well, you know what? It's a retraining of the people, because people don't. I see more traffic on the roads down here, but people don't want to come into the office.
I get it, but I still think that I don't know. What do you think about it?
I'd like to say, well, you know, for real estate, it's good to be flexible because then people can go where they want to go. But and for me, I'm always working. I'm always thinking about driving revenue, whether it's me helping my buddy with his trucking or doing the real estate. I'm a different breed. I'm old school. I got to put food on the table, so I'm going to continue to pound the pavement. Bay, what's your thoughts here, Bay? Is the brain churning here in the first month back in the podcast?
The one thing I was very curious of, and it's been stuck in my head for like the last 5 minutes, because you had mentioned about if a house is on the market for a long time, it usually comes down bottom line to the price. Is that probably the most awkward and frustrating conversation to have with a client, when you got to go over the price with them and then turn around and say, look, I think we need to reduce it? Do they get insulted, pissed off?
I just did it. I mean, and I, you know, with my own mother's house this year, we sold her house for real good money, but the next week the neighbor sold for even more. The market shifts. We can only go by the data that we have. Like the one house I put up this year in June, about a week before the market really took an arrow down, and we put it at the top of the market because it was a nice house. And really, and we were going by market condition, right? What's the trends? What's the current market condition? And what happened to us was, the week we put it up, we had about a 6-day window. And I'll tell you this much as a precursor. I had 2 clients putting houses up. And I'm not a salesman-y over salesy guy. I kept telling them, get them up. You're going to lose your window for your top dollar, because I sense this thing's going to fall off the table. And people think you're trying to sell them and you want a quick commission. And I'm trying to tell them, it ain't about the commission. It's a matter of you returning on your ROI, your return on investment. Get these up now. They both waited, and they're both going to take one already settled. Another one isn't quite yet. But unfortunately, as of this second, they're both not maximizing their return, only because the market conditions shifted. And like you said, Bay, I try to tell people, Hub mentioned this earlier. Look, Dave Stinson tell you 50,000 times. Price, condition, location, not necessarily in that order. Like Hub said, get it right, clean it up, have it ready to sell so it's the most desirable of the bunch. Number 2, you can't pick the house up and move it like Dave Stinson used to say, so you're stuck with the location. And number 3, if you're in a more desirable location, you're going to move the house, and your price points are going to be different than lesser desirable locations. And there's a lot of factors that go into that.
Yeah, and like we were talking about those suburbs like Frisco, that they're building basically a whole new city of the Metroplex, but not just a city, a whole new town. It's amazing.
Expand on that, because that's what's going on here. So, folks, a lot of the new younger generation want everything in one area. So expand on what they're doing there, Hub, because that's what they're doing here, and this is where the desired space is.
They're building new cities, and the people claim they live in North Dallas, but that's not North Dallas. That is, and the other thing too about Dallas is that people still want to live in Dallas. They think the people that live up in Frisco and McKinney and all those areas up there, they think that people don't want to live in Dallas, and people do want to live in Dallas because there's a lot to do and a lot going on here. And
talk about like the way they're building these new complexes. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing different styles of houses, condos. For example, my mom just moved to Hankin Group's, the villages at Eagleview, and they have commercial spaces for businesses. They have over 55. They have continuous care for people that are in need of that. They have over 55 condominiums. They have regular condominiums, regular townhomes, single homes, all surrounding in one like community where they have doctor's office, restaurants, or in a kind of like, and Hankin's 5-star builder, everything in one area.
Yeah, and they're doing the same thing everywhere like that here. They're doing it in Dallas too. There used to be a mall here off of the LBJ freeway. It's called Valley View, and they've torn the whole mall down, and they're going to build what's called Mid City there.
So, Hub, Bay, you know Exton Mall. Same thing's
I was just going to.
Same thing's going to happen at Exton Mall.
Yeah,
Are
well,
they
that
going
thing's
to? No, I was going to say
ahead.
with Exton Mall. I was just going to ask you about that. Are they going to keep that existing structure and convert that into the apartments, or knock it down?
And believe it or not, it costs more money. You know, they tried to convert some of them, like the malls, to like, and some of them they did to like multi-purpose, where there was doctor's office, over 55 apartments, regular apartments, restaurants, and kept the structure. These structures are in so much need of repair with deferred maintenance. Like Hub said, they're going to knock that shit down, and they're building almost like Main Street in Exton, or what they did with Hankin Group up there at Eagle View. And they're building these communities. They're nice. They're so expensive. I mean, you know, my mom's development, she's the one single building, 5 stories, over 55 luxury apartments, and they run $3,000 and up a month.
Wow.
So they're not cheap. Now you have everything encompassed under one roof, and there's some advantages to being there, but and it's a 5-star building with a saltwater pool, but the cost, and this is what we're running into, right? Like my mom had a 3-story townhome. Mom, here's the example this month. I know she listens. She had a 3-story townhome. She's getting older. She's starting to slow down a little bit, knee problem, back problem. So how do you clean, like, and maintain when you're by yourself a 3-story townhome? You're looking for other options to because it's that time to downsize. Now, when people look at that, right, they're in that position, they're downsizing. You say, what's cost effective? Well, shit, nothing. Okay, you could sell your townhome for $300, $400, whatever you're going to get for your house. And if you own it out after all these years, you're getting the cash out of that. And then you say, do I go into one of these places like Ann's Choice, Marish Grove over here? Do you know they take $300,000 to $400,000 of your money up front, and your estate gets 90% back, plus you pay $3,000 a month? People just don't have that kind of money in working class areas. Do you know how many seniors want to downsize? I could retire if I could downsize every senior to affordable housing. And nobody's advising them on where to go. I mean, we just talked about this. We should start up a company that advises seniors and does the legwork for them to try to help them make an educated decision on where they need to go if they want to retire. It's a tough market. And see what they're building in Dallas, Hub? Where do you see the price points there? They're going to be at the higher end, most of that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it is a good location, but I saw on a documentary where they had a mall that they just basically converted, like with the stores, into apartments.
Yes,
they couldn't get the regulations to have like a gas stove in there, or like you have to cook on a hot plate that doesn't have fire on it. You know what I'm saying?
That's why they're not reusing the buildings. They're knocking them down.
And even Trump said, like, when all these companies that are coming overseas and building car factories and stuff, he said they don't want to use old factories. They want to build new factories.
It's true. So here's the bottom line with that. What do we do with the old factories? What do we do with these? Because the cost to bring them up to code. So we're running into issues to where these older areas, Bay, for example, like 69th Street, these older areas, they get depressed in a way because people don't want to be there. They want to move up market, right? So what do you do with these older areas that are in need of rehab? Someone's got to come in and redevelop them and make them affordable housing.
You know, when I was there last summer, and I went down to Upper Darby, and I was showing Coco around the area where I grew up, and my parents' house, my sister's house, etc., where I lived. the overall feeling I had was just that, like, all these years have passed, and it's like everybody has just let the area go, and nobody's doing
They
anything
can't afford
to
it,
the
though.
homes, anything to revitalize anything.
And you know what? You know what's happening? Investors are coming in. They're buying them up pennies on the dollar, and they're renting them back to people for $1,800 and $2,000 a month on a house that's only worth $80,000 or $100,000. So
Yeah.
all these properties that are lower price points are being bought up in droves by investors at pennies on a dollar because there was nobody had the money, or I shouldn't say nobody, but the owner occupied people in those areas. You see it. Most of them left to go to deferred maintenance and didn't have the money to rise it back up to the working class neighborhood that they were.
Dan, there's neighborhoods here in Dallas where the kids grew up in these neighborhoods, and they were sort of lower middle class neighborhoods, and the kids that inherit the house, when they move in, they're not responsible enough to pay the taxes on those houses. It's like their parents were able to.
Yep.
They're not responsible enough, so they can't even hold. So you got other investors coming in and buying it out from them.
That's what they're doing here.
Because the kids are not responsible enough to take care of it.
I'll tell you what the exact opposite is here in Bay. You know this, South Philadelphia. The kids are coming in, and second and third generation are maintaining those houses in those neighborhoods, and that's why some of them are still, at the same level they were years ago. But for the most part, Hub, you're right. They let them go. I just got a call from a lady asking me to help her. She's semi-disabled. She was living with the mother. The mother passed away. She's living in the house that had a reverse mortgage on the house. And unfortunately, the reverse mortgage was more than what the house is worth. So basically, you have no recourse, really. You're going to have to eventually vacate because you're upside down on what the value of the house is versus what you owe on the mortgage. There's a lot of situations out there like that. And this is where we get into, this is why we're slow in the housing, because people are sitting there waiting for affordable housing, and nobody's building affordable housing. And the affordable housing that's available may be in neighborhoods that investors are buying up. So where does the economically lower to middle class go and purchase houses at reasonable prices?
They go into the suburbs and they buy houses that are in a less desirable suburb or a little bit farther out, and they fix it up themselves. If they're a hardworking person, they're going to do that.
Even those areas now are getting overpriced.
Go ahead. I was just going to say it, and Bay said it. Even example, Coatesville, steel town. Most of the people that lived in Coatesville worked at the steel plant, Lucan Steel. They made steel for the government. The steel plant went out of business probably in the 80s. It's still operational under another name now. But long story short, they took all of the workers in Coatesville and kept all the other businesses out. So when the mill went out of business, Coatesville fell on hard times, right? So Coatesville took like 90% of the county's Section 8 in Coatesville City. So in the early 2000s, they built up the suburbs around Coatesville. And just what you're saying, people started to move out here, and there were some older homes that were affordable. But now, Coatesville's not even affordable anymore. But the house I bought in 2002 for $165,000, it was 4 years old, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage on a half an acre, is now $400,000. It's not affordable. And I beg to say that people made more money back in 2002, a lot of us, than we're making now. And people are starting out. I was just talking to one of the mortgage guys I deal with, and he said that average, starter home, first home for buyers, mortgage is roughly $2,700 a month. It's crazy. I mean, who could afford $2,700 a month? Look at this. Look who's on, Bay.
Yeah, how about that? But it's a good comment. It's a good point. Frank says, if I had to buy a house today, if I had to buy a house today, the same home I bought, I could not afford in 2008.
Live in it. Yep. And Frank, me and Frank always talk about that. Frank lives in a middle class working neighborhood of row homes. Bay, you know these homes well, the brick row homes. in Delaware County, the Warner West row homes. A lot of working class people lived over there, and they were reasonably priced. And when I left Fallcroft, the house behind me is just like the one Frank lives in, was $55,000 in 2002 when I left. That same house today is $250,000, right? And it's not, that neighborhood is not the same affluency and the per capita per household that it was 20 years ago. So things are shifting economically, and the prices are going up. And like Hub said, the maintenance on these things, these older houses, the second generations are moving in or they're turning over. If it's not owned by an investor, it needs a ton of work.
Yeah.
So not only are you paying top dollar, you're moving into a house that needs $20,000 worth of work. There you go. Frank, right there. Frank's a smart man. Frank said one just sold for $275,000. He paid $130,000.
It's crazy. In less than 20 years.
They're 1,142 square feet. They're small. $275,000.
So if you move to the new area in North Texas here, between up above Dallas and Fort Worth, you're gonna for that same $400,000 that you might buy a house in Dallas, you'll get double the house up there, and it'll be brand new, and there will be schools there that have a smaller amount of kids in the school, and when that school gets overpopulated to a certain degree, they just build another school. So
here's another thing, though. It's what happened to us here in East Fallowfield, Coatesville, our area. The cost of the infrastructure build up right now is crushing us because we're putting a new school up in Coatesville. I think that thing's running close to $100 million or some crazy number, $90 million or something. What about Jobs Hub? Because we run into, like, if you live here in Coatesville, we're just talking with the neighbors. Most of my neighbors drive at least 45 minutes to an hour to work. So again, you're weighing getting a cheaper house, but having that huge commute, which is an added cost on the back end. This is a lot of what's going on.
Well, yeah, and that's a big issue. That's a big issue.
Well, what about the homes like Frank said, he paid $130 in 2008. What about those homes in South Philly that are even smaller than the row homes in Delco, and they're over $500,000?
I sold one 4 years ago now. The guy paid, I think, like $440 roughly, right by Petito's Bakery, half a block down off of 16th Street. Italian people had it. The guy worked at Septic with my dad. The guy that was selling it. No closets in the house, guys. No closets. Zero. No closets. The guy had armoires made in Italy and brought in, which made the small bedrooms 10 times smaller. No closets, almost $500,000. And another thing that's infiltrating South Philly big time, and Frank knows this, New Yorkers infiltrating Delaware County and those areas. I was talking to my brother-in-law, same thing. The New York money that's coming down, and people living in Philadelphia that maybe worked in Central, big time, a ton of it. And to Hub's point, for them to come down from New York, it's a better value driving an hour and 20 minutes down a turnpike to go to Bucks County or South Philly. They lived in North Jersey. They're getting more bang for the buck. There you go, right there. Tom the comic guy sold his house on 15th of Rittner. Hey, Frank, I sold that one was 16th and Rittner, right? So 15th of Rittner should be right there, right where Cash's Bakery, Petito's.
Yeah, my cousin's got the corner house right there at 16th and Rittner.
Big and you know what else is going on down there? The people don't realize they have explosions. The gas lines and the water lines are so damn old that if something blows or breaks, they have an issue all the time down there with gas line leaks and water main breaks because the infrastructure is 200 years old underneath those streets.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you live in the West, that's sort of unimaginable for people who live in Texas or California or Arizona.
Think about it. Don't forget, we're the birthplace of the nation here.
Exactly.
In Philadelphia, we got the anniversary coming up this year.
But that's hard for people that live in the Southwest to imagine.
Like 250th, am I right there? 250th birthday here coming up. So
when you said that, I was just going to say, I remember the 1976 one. I'm like, wow, that was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 1776.
Right. So we got 250 years. And that celebration's coming next year. It's supposed to be huge here. In fact, my buddy's wife is on some of the programs, some of the committees here in Philadelphia that are going to be. Philadelphia's a great city, but like Danny goes to LaSalle, the neighborhood down there in Northwest Philadelphia, those houses are ready to fall down. I mean, the deferred maintenance, some of the brick is crumbling, the electric meters, there's so much deferred maintenance, and we're building new construction, but nobody's maintaining the current housing and some of the older housing that still could be, viable for new home buyers. We're running, this is a good discussion tonight because these are all the factors that are going on that's affecting the current marketplace, from people's income to deferred maintenance in houses, to interest rates, to cash flow problems for people. A lot going on in this current climate.
And also, like you mentioned earlier, commute, because that's part of your lifestyle. If you have to commute, you have to spend an hour both ways or 45 minutes both ways. That's a lot of time.
The traffic has, me and my mom looked this up. The traffic's sevenfold. The traffic is sevenfold from what it was. I looked it up. I forget how many years ago. The traffic is sevenfold from I know from when my mom got her license in the 60s. We're 7 times more with the traffic. It takes for me to go here from Coatesville to Media, it's 55 minutes in the morning. It's only 30 some miles.
I can imagine.
I mean, it's so long to commute. I used to go to Northeast Philly from Coatesville. It took me an hour and 40 minutes a day. And that's the problem. When you move out here, you got to know that you're going to have added cost on your vehicle, your maintenance, your gas, your water, trash, and sewer. Our water and sewer bills are high. People say, "Hey, I got a house for $50,000 cheaper in Coatesville." That $50,000 ain't going to stretch that far. You might be better off looking in Downingtown, depending on the person, where you work. What are the taxes? That has a lot to do with it. Do they need to build new schools? Is there infrastructure? Listen, we know so many areas at NextHome with my crew. We're going to give you real information to help you make an educated decision. My dad worked for SEPTA. I'm pretty well versed from North Philadelphia all the way out to York County. So, we can help you. And if we don't have the experience, we're going to refer you to somebody that knows the area and that can help you get to where you need to be with your real estate needs. But this discussion was good because this is exactly what's going on in today's market.
What I think what you're saying is that this concept is the seeing the big picture of what you want your future to be like. Like, what do you want? And you got to factor in, like you said, what is your commute going to be? What's the area? What's the quality of the house? What's the neighborhood like? There's a whole multitude of things, and you got to see all of those things in detail so you can make your best choice.
And Hub, doesn't it? We're having this conversation on the podcast. People are in such a hurry. They're going to call Jimmy John on Zillow and show them the house when they didn't even have a conversation. They're wasting their time. And the agent runs out there to show them the house, and they never even had a discussion of what they were looking for, what they could afford, or they pre-approved. Where do you want to be? What kind of gas or electric's in the house? What's the heating type? They're not even having a conversation about it.
You got to have a big picture view of what it is that you think you want.
But you
can be flexible with it. You can be
flexible with it. In a hurry. Everybody's in a hurry today. I'm going back to what we said at the beginning: pad and paper. Let's sit down. Let's not be like this huge compass thing to where we're worried about market share. As real estate,
what they say about that if you have not a big picture, you got to have it on paper. And if it's not on paper, that plan that you have is like cigarette smoke just floating in the air.
And that's where
it's going to just disappear. If you don't have it on paper, you're not going to be able to see the big picture. Like you said, pad and paper.
It's the truth.
And Dan is your real estate coach that will do that for you, help you.
Dan, do you still sit with your clients with the yellow legal tablet?
I'll say this. We're going to get out of here in 3 or 4 minutes. I have this in my head. When my family owned Century 21 Absolute Realty, I just said this to my mom this week. They had a room, and this is what I'm coming back to. They had a room with a round table. It was a small room with 4 chairs in it. Clients used to come in and ask for the realtor. My cousin's been around for years, one of the top realtors in the industry, Linda Johnson. They would come in, is Linda in? Husband and wife or their kid or whatever, their dog, whatever. They would come in, and we would have dog bones, and they would have water, and they would have coffee cakes sitting on the counter when people came in, and they would say, yeah, we're here for our consultation. We're looking to buy a home. We're going to have a consultation. And they would sit down, and then the men and the women, some have different things. So I would put a line down the paper. What does she want? What does he want? What does she want to hear? What does he want? He wants the finished basement like Hub. He wants the garage so he could tinker and do his things. She wants a bigger bathroom. She wants a bigger pantry. She wants a bigger laundry room. We don't even do that today. Then we drive an hour to show a house, and they go, I don't like this because you're rushed, because you didn't have a conversation. That room still goes back. Let's take the pen and paper, right? I got a book here. Let's take the pen and paper and let's sit down or have a Zoom call and discuss what. And then guess what? It takes a lot of pressure off people. Lauren Rosenthal does. I don't know if he's listening. My buddy, real quick, and I want to mention one more thing. We get out of here. But my buddy, I gave him a referral. My title lady up here retired to Florida. She sent him a list of about 15 homes. She has a disabled daughter, specific needs. He took that list after having a conversation with her and pared it down to 5 or 6. He was not showing her all those homes. They did not work for her. And then he took her down to maybe 4. By the time she drove up, they were down to 4. She bought 1. But she thanked him because he did his due diligence to break it down and say, you don't need to look at all this shit that you don't want. You're just pulling shit out of the air. And people get frustrated. They get frustrated, but nobody takes a minute to settle it down, slow it down, do your due diligence, have that consultation.
You know, a good home remodeler will do this too, just like a realtor, like you're saying. He will work with you and help you decide what you want to do and what's worth it for your money and what for your house and what will do the best thing for you. And he will be firm with them, like you just said that you are, and he'll say, no, we're not going to do it that way. This has got to be nice. This has got to be good.
And you made a point to spending money on it. And what should you do or what shouldn't you do? Curb appeal is a big thing. Should you put the garden in? Yes. Should you coat your driveway? Yes. Like my cousin was just asking me, he's going to sell his. His driveway's a little beat up. He said, you think I should put a new driveway in? I said, maybe we should at least patch it and coat it so it has a good curb appeal when people pull in and see the house. Some of those things should be done. One more thing, we'll get out of here. A little bragging. So, everybody should go on LaSalle TV. There you go, LaSalle TV. So my son has been doing technical stuff and is on the crew for LaSalle TV. They're on YouTube in Philadelphia. They're on Verizon and Comcast. They have their own channel. Cool. So my son was the technical director on one of the Q&A episodes. In fact, it was like the public events, all kinds of different things. Like it was like a variety show. He was the technical director on that, and he's been on cameras, sound. He's been on graphics where you bring the graphics in. So it was never his thing, and he loves it. So you'll see him damn easy. You'll see him in the credits. So I love him. I'm having so much fun watching it. Like they do a great job. All student run, right? Great diverse cast of people. They do politics programming. They do like Bay, you would like music and different pop culture stuff. They do sports. So LaSalle TV, my son's very heavily involved with the programming, and he might be some guest spots on the sports program, doing some Flyers talk this coming fall. But he's doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. He's loving it down there. You know what? We're all struggling. These kids are enjoying themselves. The colleges around here have had the highest enrollment in years. LaSalle is up the highest enrollment in 8 years. Wow. In 8 years. They went from 2,400 students 2 years ago to over 4,000 students down there. Immaculata's up, Temple's up. So the schools are starting to get the kids back in. Hopefully they have housing and jobs on the back end here. We're going to be back in October for another program here. Hub, Bay, thank you. Bay, tell us where they can find us, and let's get out of here. Hub,
all right,
thank you,
NextHomeBrandywine.com is the place to go. Quick shout out to, congrats to our good friends over at Roma Deli and Wolf's Superior Sandwiches, both taking home many awards from the Daily Times Best of Delco. So congrats to them. Congrats to everybody. Delco, Monco, Chesco, wherever you are, NextHomeBrandywine.com for all of your real estate needs.
Good night, everybody.